Hello, everyone. This is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are in the greatest country. We're in the greatest part of the world, and we have survived here in Central Florida. We have survived Hurricane Ian. Ian thought he had the best of this part of the country, but there have been some very, very serious damages done. There have been some very, very serious things that have happened as a result of the hurricane, and there are still extreme storm warnings out for the state of Florida. Besides that, regardless of what has happened to each of us over the past 24 hours, this is Faye, and I'm here with the joys of living great. Let me tell you a little bit about the joys of living great, because believe it or not, this is our 15th episode. We have been bringing you the joys of living great 15 weeks consecutively. And if you've missed any of them, you can view them on the Win Women Network or on the Joys of Living Great YouTube channel. But this week, since this is our 15th week, it is also a combination of the joys that we have been doing for the past month or so, at least about 2 months. We started in August with back to school, because knowing that that's the time when a lot of people are getting their children ready to return to school. And some children were returning to school for the very first time physically in their lives. So this was a traumatic experience for little kindergartners, pre-Ks, first graders. For the last 3 years, as you know, we've been dealing with a pandemic. But what we are here to tell you is the joys about all of this, because the joys of living says God is our joy. We express our joy in God's blessings and the things that he does for us. So what that means is no matter what we're going through, no matter what our trials may be, there is always joy. Joy can be found in all of it. But today, what we want to do is wrap up going back to school by bringing you the joys of education. The joys of education will expound upon all of those areas that we've previously covered, all of those resources and all of the support people and all of the teachers and all of the bus drivers and the parents and the grandparents and everyone who has been involved in going back to school. We want to just pull it all together today for you so that you can hear once more. And this is our last episode about back to school. Some of you are probably saying, thank goodness you're moving on. But we will be moving on from back to school and bringing you joys of other parts of living. The show is not set up for any one person. It's not designed for any one specific group of women. It's not specifically designed for just any nationality or any gender for that reason. We actually are here to tell you about the joys of living great and how that works in our lives and how it can also work in your lives. We've covered so much about going back to school over these past 2 months that I really don't know where to start. But I'm thinking that the student themselves might be the most important piece of going back to school. So let's start our discussion today with talking about the children who have had to go back to school, some of the things that they may have had to face for the very first time, but give us how they can overcome that joy, or some of the principles or some of the things that can be done in anyone's life that will make that school day a better day?
I would say one of the things that they might deal with would be fear. And as a parent, you would just let them talk about what they were fearful about, what they were nervous about. And, you talk with them and pray with them and to just get them to relax and get comfortable with what their fears were, help them overcome their fears. So yeah, it's about talking up to them and allowing them to get it out, to release it. So that's one thing I would say.
So one of the things that students face, whether it's their very first time in school physically, or they're returning for their 12th time, they're in seniors. It doesn't matter. If I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is they may have fear. And because of the things and the struggles that we've all been going through with things that happen in life and in schools, children may have certain fears. So as a parent, your suggestion is to communicate to the child and be inquisitive. Yes. Ask questions, find out what those fears are. Let them know how they can overcome those fears. What are some of the ways that a fear, or what are some of the specific fears that a child might have? Does anyone know?
They could possibly have a fear of even not getting along with the other students, maybe bullying, because that's a common fear with students, the bullying part, where they probably don't fit in.
Bullying is a very, very serious problem. And it's not only physical bullying. Bullying goes on a lot in social media these days.
Yes.
So how does the child, or how would the parent help the child to actually overcome a fear of bullying?
Yeah. I would say, again, speak with them and get to the root of the problem, where the problem is coming from. And if it's a serious problem, you may have to go to the school, go further, let the principal know what's going on. Then you may have to get the other parents involved. So you have to get to the root of the problem. Because like we say, bullying is verbally, physical, so you have to get to the root. And you don't know the root unless they tell you where it's coming from.
Sometimes it's difficult because children who are bullied, or children who have been bullied, may not feel very comfortable even expressing what has happened to them. So there are certain questions that you probably would need to ask. And this all reverts back probably to a parent knowing their child.
Yes.
When you recognize differences in their behavior, differences in how they interact at home, differences in how they want to dress, or differences in the way they express themselves, little tiny things. Parents need to be aware.
Yes.
Need to watch for those little things, because it could be bullying. That could be the problem, or it could be something else. So sometimes it's not real easy to just, as we as adults are talking, to say, well, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
Because it's not that easy for the child to answer that question. But can you think of any other way that the parent might address the issue?
Well, Faye, I always said you have to keep the lines of communication open. You always got to have a conversation. So it's not just on say like, just someone bully you today. Start off with the how's your day, what did you do? You listen to the way they talk, the events that took place, how they say it, how they act, how they look when they come home. If they're talking to their friends, I'll eavesdrop on a conversation in a minute. Go in their room, whatever you got to do. You got to find out what they're doing, because sometimes they won't tell you, but you can get it out of you. Constantly have a line of communication, talking to them every day. What did you do today? Anything happen? Like that. But you have to have that line of communication so they can feel comfortable.
That's right.
Yes. Yes, you do. You certainly do. Now, we've identified fear as something that might affect a student, a child who's returning to school. What methods or what things have you done that would help your children to not fear when they are attending school?
I think, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I pray. I teach
Okay.
him, I teach my sons, like I'll do from my example, I'll teach my son to pray for himself, or just to cover himself. Nothing long drawn out, just to declare some things, his safety and things, and and also his confidence. So I think Elena mentioned self-esteem, that they have to be confident that they are worth something and they have something to gain by going to school, and let no one take that from you, because it's yours to get. They can't have it, type thing. And for him to walk, to be friendly, the Bible says if you want to have friends, you got to show yourself friendly. So also to be the one to shine the light. If you want to have friends, hey, be friendly with folks, not naive, just friendly, cordial, kind to people. And then to pray about his day, pray even about his friends, his friend base, what he's involved in. So that will kind of cut down his I'll say anxieties, maybe. That's the new word.
Yeah.
But it's real. The anxieties about going in there and facing school is so many pressures, and I think Brenda mentioned the fitting in, or Elena, the fitting in thing, because that was what I was thinking about. Wow, just the fear of fitting in here. Like, where's my niche? Who's going to be my group of friends? Where am I going to fall in this big crowd of people? So a lot of praying, and in that prayer, praying through, like talking through some of the things, addressing some of the things in prayer that might be on their mind, and getting them to pray too, so they feel comfortable.
Very, very good. That's great. That's great. So we have come to identify that fear could be one of the things that children who are returning to school may have. And that fear could be a multitude of things. It could be one individual thing. It could be several different things. But the answer to overcoming that fear is 1, communication, and 2, prayer. So a mother's prayer is always over the child, but Crystal has mentioned, and that's an excellent point, Crystal, that you train the child to pray as well, because we know as adults, when we're in a certain situation, it doesn't have to be a long drawn out prayer. We don't have to start from A to go to Z. We can just say Jesus. And we know that our prayers are being answered. Whatever door we're expecting to be opened, opens for us. And then we say, thank you, Lord, thank you. So for the child to have that inner peace, to have that joy within the child, the student who is in school, it is absolutely important that they understand the importance of prayer and what prayer does for them. So they need to see you as a parent praying at home, praying over them, staying in communication with them, building their self-esteem, letting them know that they are unique. There is no other person in the world who is created exactly like them.
That's right.
Twins may be identical twins, but they each have a separate fingerprint. So every child needs to know that they are uniquely made, they are blessed, they are loved, and they are themselves. That helps to build their self-confidence and helps them to eliminate the fear whenever it arises, not just attending to school, but if it comes up, and if you grow them up that way, they're going to have it when they become adults and pass it on to their children.
Yes.
Now, teachers are so important to the education process. And each of us have had experiences with teachers because we've had children in school. And many of you who are listening have children who are in school, and you need to interact with the teachers. My question for discussion is there any particular way, or did you have a particular protocol to follow with teachers in order to meet them in order to help your student, your child? Was there any special protocol, anything special you did, other than I know Brenda went out with her daughter shopping and they got all those colorful books and everything, and they knew what they wanted when they were going into the classroom. But does anybody have any other protocols that you use to actually sync with the teachers?
Yeah, basically, to get to know the teachers, each one of the teachers that your child has, and write notes. Even if you can't make a phone call or they can't call you, you can write notes back and forth. Just so that that we're on the same page. So we know that the child's important. The education of the child is very important. So we want to be able to be on the same page where we can, have this child do homework and do the assignments, what have you, and not lag behind and wait until the end of the year almost to say that the child is failing. So we want to know up front, where just just to communicate with each other, to find out, if the child is doing well, different things like that.
So teachers have lives too.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
they
yeah.
have families and they have lives.
Sure.
So, and with technology nowadays, you don't even have to write a note.
No.
You can send an email or a
Email.
text.
That's right.
And if the teacher, if you go out and allow the teacher to have your contact information so that she can feel free to send you a text if something goes that she thinks you should know about, then obviously she will be reciprocal in allowing you to have that type of communication with her. Sometimes it's not something that needs to go through the school board's email system.
Right.
It may be something very personal to just your child. So the parent in that case takes the step to actually be responsible enough to reach out to the teacher. And remember, teachers do have lives too. They have families and they need to go home at a certain time and cook dinner as well. So you can't expect them to be there grading papers until 8 p.m. or waiting for your child to turn in something that should have been turned in 2 days ago. So those are all things that we do as parents in the background. Now, how does an adult decide that I think that it's time for me to return to school, and what should I do? What differences? There's got to be some big differences between an adult who's going to go to college for either an associate, a bachelor's, or a master's degree even, than a student who's going to graduate from high school and have a multitude of choices. What are some of the differences between those decisions to be made?
Well, I wanna get on that one for me, because for me, it's actually a quick answer. High school, you were just developing your career. When you go back as an adult, maybe already having a bachelor's or whatever, but when you go back as an adult, it's to enhance or change or further develop your current career that you're in, or make a career change. So it's different. Like, I think you're a little different, you're established differently as an adult. So your decision would really be based on maybe improving or changing or shifting your current circumstance, where from high school, you're just starting out the gate and you're starting to develop yourself.
Often when you're at high school level, well, you may not even know what you're going to do as a career.
Mhm.
And the subject matter that you choose when you go to college your first year, it could be changed many times. So that you're not setting something up
Amen.
in stone to, for the rest of your life. What you're doing is furthering your education,
Yeah.
which is what you should do.
Yeah.
Everyone should further their education.
Okay.
Learning is a process that we do continuously.
Mhm.
I feel that if I'm not learning something every day, then, my mind has not been challenged.
Right.
There is something new to learn every day, no matter how small it is. And sometimes it's big. I just finished doing an exam, which I learned things that will help in my business, but those are big things. Those are things that I need to know because those are laws, those are rules, those are regulations. But every time that you're in an educational setting, you're learning, and you're learning when you're not in an educational setting. So the student who's going from high school to college may be able to go anywhere in the country.
Mhm.
They're typically not married. They don't have children. They're not tied down to any particular area. And because they're not sure what kind of career they're going to have, they may follow just the school that has the best program for what they think they want to do at that time. And then others may follow an athletic path.
Yeah.
They may be doing sports. So the sports directors, the football coaches, the basketball coaches, the soccer coaches, the golf coaches, sort them out. And they went to the school because of the sports program. Then there are others who are your high achievers,
Mhm.
4.0 and above, who get academic scholarships. And again, they could be anywhere. Wherever that school needs more academians, they can apply. Now, that's typically the life of a high school student.
Mhm.
Then they pull the money together from their grants and their loans and the other, there's something else that they can use. And we talked about that as well, but they pull all that together, and then what their parents got for them, or the scholarship fund that has already been set up for them, and then they're off to go. They're ready to go. You go set them up in the dorm and buy their groceries for a month and make sure they have a cell phone, go home.
Mhm.
Right? Okay. What is the picture of an adult that's returning to school?
Well, an adult will have to make sure they have their own funds. Mostly, they'll have to get loans from for their higher education. For me, we took advantage of a program that was offered to us by a university, and it was on Saturday, so I couldn't stop working. So I took advantage of courses that were done completely on Saturdays. So that allowed me to continue to work and go.
But where there's a will, there's the way, right?
That's
Exactly.
right.
So you knew you could not stop your full-time job. So an adult probably is working, may have a family to support,
Yes.
cannot move across the country. So it's different. And the adult is not going to have the same opportunity for grants and scholarships that the
Exactly.
high school student will have. So they will have to look for funds in other places, and they may get them directly from their employer
Mhm.
because what they're doing is going to advance their career. They may get it from an organization that has built a foundation that helps in the area where they are, such as engineering or something like that. So it is entirely different. So the decision for an adult to go back to school encompasses a lot of little paths that have to be considered. But our encouragement is that where there is a will, there is a way.
Yes.
And if it can be done, you can do it.
That's right.
So to our listeners, no matter what your age is, no matter what your circumstances are, if higher education is something that you want to do and you're committed to doing it, there is a way for you to do it. And you just have to keep researching and researching until you find that right place to do it. We are going to continue our discussion about education and the joys of education. And in our second half, we're going to talk about some of the fruits of our labors of being good students. But right now, I wanted to share with you some of the things that are coming up for the month of October. Regina?
Hi, everyone. We want you to be as excited as we are about the new month that we're going to enter into. Part of being educated or even continuing your education is to do something that makes you feel good. It's called self-actualization. And one of the things we want to concentrate on in the month of October is breast cancer awareness. Okay, some things you have to do for yourself, and that is might entail examinations, ensuring that you have your annual examinations as well as your monthly examinations. So what we want to do, we're going to come together in this community, and we're going to discuss all things concerning breast cancer awareness. Now, this is not only germane to women, we also found out that there's been an increase in breast cancer in men as well. So we want you to tell a neighbor, tell a friend. We're going to give you all sort of tips, all sort of little things you can do to help you remember to do that monthly exam, as well as encourage a friend or a group of friends to make sure that we all get through these years and years to come in a healthy, prosperous way. That's one way that we can maintain our joy and ensure that our joy continues amongst our generation and then those to come. So please come join us next month. Breast cancer awareness. Wear your pink. Come up in us and let us know in the chat. Let us know in your email on Facebook that you're wearing your pink and you're representing, or even if you are representing someone in your family who has been affected by breast cancer, or you yourself and has been affected by breast cancer. Sorry, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. So don't forget, go to our Facebook, and I'll always say smash that button that where you can put your email in, and you can also contribute to whatever topic that we have. We're looking forward to building our community, but our community would be nothing without you.
Our community is you. That's great. Yes, it is. So it's the Joys of Living Great. The Joys of Living Great is the name of the Facebook group. So if you're on Facebook, join the Facebook group. Encourage your friends to join the Facebook group, The Joys of Living Great. We will continue our conversation, as I said, about education